Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be taking a look at the Manitou Mezzer Pro fork, and I also wanted to give you guys some tips and tricks on setting this thing up that I learned prior to buying this thing. Let's get into the video. So for those of you that have been in the bike industry for some time now, I'm sure you would have heard of the name Manitou. Manitou has been into the bicycle market for quite some time now, and in the recent years they seem to not get as talked about as much. And so I've been doing a lot of research on this fork, as I have a friend and I've heard of countless other people. I kind of wanted to explain why I think this fork is an underrated fork and why I think that this fork is going to fit my needs perfectly. So for those of you that haven't been following the channel, I ride a Santa Cruz Bronson and I have a Fox 38 on that bike. It is not a stock Fox 38. I do have a Vorf spring lift cap in the air spring, and then I also have the bushings burnished, so that definitely helps with some of the issues that I was having with the fork. But I'm still struggling to get mid-stroke support, which is what I've been looking for, and this fork seems to have way better mid-stroke support. Now I'll get into kind of why this fork has been raved about on the internet, and kind of what differs it from other forks such as RockShox and Fox. So unlike most of the mainstream mountain bike forks, this fork has a dual air chamber system. So we have the main chamber on the bottom, and then we have the IRT, the infinite rate tune, on the top, which is going to be responsible for mid-stroke support. And what's cool about having these dual chambers is, in simple terms, the main chamber is going to be responsible for the small bump sensitivity, and then the IRT chamber is going to be responsible for the mid-stroke support, which is going to be about this bit of travel here. The reason you want mid-stroke support is so that your fork is not diving. When your fork is in this bit of travel up here, you're going to be bottoming out, and the fork is not going to be very effective in damping those impacts. And so mid-stroke support is very, very, very important. So with the mainstream forks, specifically Fox, in my experience, has a pretty weird mid-stroke support, and basically there is none with the Fox. I went and did some adjusting to the Fox fork, and even with the upgrades I did do, which definitely helped, as the burnishing helped the small bump, so I was able to increase pressure, but it still feels kind of harsh, and I still feel like I'm not doing the best. It's not doing the best with the mid-stroke support, and I think that's due to the way that the air spring works. As when you increase pressure, the fork naturally ends up being stiffer, and so I feel like where you get the best small bump sensitivity on the Fox zeroes out your mid-stroke support. So with this fork, that should solve it in theory, considering it does have a dual air chamber where it's going to have two different air chambers that are going to be responsible for different parts of the travel. And then also, I forgot how when it activates, but there's a hydraulic bottom out. So this fork is one of the forks that's going to feel very, very endless in terms of travel. And so I'm super duper stoked on specifically the mid-stroke support, or the IRT chamber. The air spring is mainly what levitated me towards this fork. The damper is also raved upon. People love the damper on this fork as well. Which brings me into something that Manitou does differently that's really cool in the air spring, which is actually adjustable travel via these little spacers. So you can adjust this fork in 10mm increments from 140 millimeters up to 180 millimeters of travel. So this is set up at 180 mils of travel right now, and I'm going to take a 10 mils, two spacers, which will equal 10 mils, and that will make this fork a 170 millimeters. I find that that's cool because now you can use this fork for any different bike, and you're going to be able to adjust the travel no problem. The Fox 38 specifically is a pain in the butt, as you have to spend like $100 at least, $100 or $150, somewhere between there, to get a new air spring. And then also, if you're like me and you're running a lift cap, Vorf spring lift cap, then you're going to have to take that out of the air spring, which involves getting the red Loctite undone. So it's a pain. And so I'm super stoked that this is going to be easy. People have said that this fork is easier to set up. So that's going to be exciting to see, because the Fox 38 was kind of a hard one to set up, to say the least. I've been working on that thing for like a year and a half, 2 years now, and it's still not perfect. So, but I think I've gotten it pretty close where I like it for that fork. So I'm super stoked to see how much this one outperforms it. So yeah, that's about it in terms of specialty, what Manitou does differently. There's going to be more, I'm sure, but those are the main things that I levitated towards. So now we'll get into the setup tips that I've learned throughout looking through the forums and talking to different people. A couple of things that were mentioned that you should do before you install this fork on your bike is you're going to want to check the semi-bath level. The semi-bath oil is basically what's just in the lower legs and keeps everything lubricated. The stuff is fairly cheap on the Manitou's website, and so I just got a container of that, and I'm going to check it. Even though this is a brand new fork, I'm going to check it, because apparently these can be filled differently depending on you know, the day or whatever. So I want to make sure that the semi-bath level is correct. And then another thing we're also going to check on this fork is we're also going to check the grease on the main and the IRT air piston heads. Those sometimes don't have enough grease, or maybe they have too much grease. And so we're going to check those. If you're changing travel anyway, you're already getting into the main air piston, which is the hardest one to get to. And then, which isn't that hard, by the way. But then we also have the IRT, which the IRT is pretty easy to get off. You just take the air cap off, throw a cassette tool on there, and it pops right out. And so that's also going to be pretty easy to get to. Other than that, that's pretty much all you should do before you install this on your bike. Something else that I want to mention before we get into installation on this fork, if you are buying a new shock pump and you add the budget, what I got was a Topeak RockShox digital pump, just Topeak's top of the line pump. What really brought me to buying that one was that it has an anti-leak valve. The deal is with the anti-leak valve is that this fork is super sensitive to any pressure change, and so you really want to be as accurate as you can. And so having a anti-leak valve is going to keep you from losing too much air. If you don't want to replace your pump with something like that, a regular pump's gonna be fine. Just keep in mind how much air you end up losing, just so you can get your pressures accurate. That's about it. We're gonna go ahead and install this fork on my Bronson, and then right after that, I'll get into what I'm planning on doing with this video series and what to look out for in the future. Holy crap. There's no air in there. Well guys, apparently that was really weird, because there shouldn't have been air in there. I checked. That's not supposed to happen. So to set up the fork, there's a very specific order that needs to be done while airing up the fork to get the Mezzer working correctly. So I'm going to show you how to do that correctly. So what you're going to want to start with is attaching a shock pump to the lower main air chamber. Then press firmly till the fork is at full bottom out. There should be no resistance while the shock pump is attached. This makes sure that the positive and negative air chambers are open before inflating. Next, we are going to want to air up the IRT chamber to your desired air pressure. It is important that the IRT is aired up first, otherwise the fork will not work correctly. Once you have IRT set up, you can set up the main Dorado air spring. Just air this up to your desired pressure. Once you have the fork all set up, go bounce the fork around to equalize the positive and negative air chambers. Then check your pressure again. This is normal for the air pressure to reduce after compressing the fork through its travel as the fork repressurizes the negative air chamber. You guys have it. That is the Mezzer all installed on the bike. I'm super pumped about this fork, and I wanted to kind of dive into what I'm going to be doing for this video series with this fork, and what plans I have for this fork in the future. So what I plan to do with this fork is I'm going to be diving in deep into the performance aspects of this fork. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to go on a ride, and I'm going to try to get this thing dialed in with just the stock form, so stock tune, everything pretty much stock. And I'm just going to mess with the adjusters and the IRT and main Dorado air spring pressure. And so I'm going to keep it basic on the first ride or two. And then if I feel, once it's dialed, once I feel that it's at the best it can be, I'm going to then, if I feel it can have more performance, I'm going to get into the more nitty gritty stuff, which is going to be messing around with the compression shim stack. I've ridden this fork very lightly so far, but from where I've ridden it, it seems like it might have a bit of a heavy compression tune, as I'm pretty much running it mostly open. So, you know, only time's going to tell if that holds true or not. The first ride's where it's going to really show. And so that might be a potential video and thing that I might end up doing, which is, you know, adjusting the shim stack. There's a, like I mentioned earlier, there's a specific shim that's in there. It's a 17 millimeter shim. It can be reduced to a 12 millimeter shim, or it can just be removed altogether. Since I'm a lighter rider, it'd probably be removed altogether. Not 100% sure on that yet, but we'll see how it feels on the first ride. And then another thing that I have the option of trying, as I was able to get some O-rings for it, was the Quad Seal O-ring. There's some sort of oversized mod. I don't fully understand it, but as far as I'm aware, it probably reduces friction on one of the piston heads. I'm not 100% sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you guys know in the comments, go ahead and leave a comment down there. But those are probably the two main things. Plus, I'm also going to probably get these burnished. Feeling the fork feels like there's a bit of tightness in the bushings, which I guess is better than what they used to be known for, which was the bushings got oversized and had knocking and play in them on the older release models of the Mezzer Pro. So glad that they're tight and not loose. So I might end up doing some burnishing. Not sure, 100% sure yet. I had a good experience on the Fox 38 with doing burnishing, but yeah, we'll see about burnishing. So again, I'm going to make videos on all this stuff if I find the need for it. So if you guys are into seeing any more nitty gritty, like getting down into the performance aspects of the fork, yeah, be sure to smash that subscribe button down below, because there's definitely going to be more videos on this in the near future. If I missed anything, go ahead and leave a comment down below. So yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.